Hi everyone, thanks so much for tuning in again. This is Heart Health Month at Sepalika, and we've got such a fantastic response to our first video which was about why heart attacks really happen. And there were a lot of follow-up questions about what one should do in order to protect one's heart. And a lot of people also asked us about heart failure. And heart failure or congestive heart failure is basically a condition where, for whatever reason, your heart is unable to finally send fresh blood to all the places in the body that need that blood. That's what heart failure is. And heart failure can happen for a variety of reasons. And in the US, more than 5.7 million people at last count had heart failure. So we're going to give you a very short understanding of what heart failure is, and most importantly, what you can do in order to protect your heart. It's not important that you need to have congestive heart failure or have a really serious heart condition. Anybody who's beginning to have any kind of heart problems can do certain simple things in life, and they can really turn their heart health around. At Sepalika, we're committed to bringing you that sort of information so that you can make the best use of it, and you can pass it on to other people who might have similar heart problems. These are so simple, and you can just implement them in your life, and you can see the differences yourself. So, what is it that one expects when you say heart failure? A patient who is suffering from heart disease for usually a long period of time will begin to feel breathless whenever they have exertion. You will also find that there is fluid that begins to stagnate. So you have swelling. You have swelling usually in the legs, and it's very typical symptom. Patients will often complain that the ankles are swollen all the time. In the initial stages, you don't get breathless unless you feel that you're exerting yourself too much, but as the condition begins to worsen, you may find that even at rest you're beginning to feel breathless, you're beginning to, the heart is tired all the time. And this is where really the healing traditions come in. It's obvious that human beings have existed long before modern medical science did, right? So every society had its own way of dealing with heart disease, and had effective ways in which they were able to literally heal the heart. And that's what we have covered. So just attached to this video is a link to an article that gets into all the details that you need to know about heart failure. What are the symptoms? What are the stages? What are the drugs that are used? What side effects can those drugs cause? So we've got it all listed for you. And after the last video, we were told that it would be great if we kept all the resources in one place, and that's exactly what we have done. So there's a single article, and all the resources, everything that you need, everything is part of that article. So be sure to click on that and get all the details that you need. What I wanted to touch upon in this video is the critical things that you can do to actually change the way in which your heart behaves. Why is it that we get heart disease? Heart disease happens due to a variety of reasons, but the primary reasons for heart disease, if you can reverse those, you will find that the heart begins to heal again, even after a heart failure. So even if you're somebody who's had a heart attack and you're trying to recover and you're on drugs, using these simple tips, which are actually which come from the work of cardiologists. These are cutting edge MDs who are now coming up with ways in which we can actually reverse heart disease. And we're at Sepalika, we have drawn inspiration from their work, and that's the information that we're bringing to you. So here's what you can really do. Step 1. Eat the freshest, most organic food that you can find. I mean, this would sound like a no-brainer. It sounds like, why wouldn't anybody want to eat the freshest food that is available? And yet, people often, all of us, fall into habits where we're not doing that. And why is that critical? Because all the nutrients, the minerals, the vitamins that are necessary for a heart to function well come from good food. Source locally, go as organic as you can, and make sure that you're able to, literally get the best food into your system. There are very good vegetable powders, very dense nutrients that are available in the market, and you may find that it's possible to just add that to your diet. So just sprinkle this fantastic powders on your meal. Make sure that you're eating the freshest, most organic food that you can. I don't think this point is emphasized enough, because all of us think that somehow we're going to take a pill and everything's going to be fine. Remember that all chronic disease, including heart disease, is never caused by a single reason. If it isn't caused by a single reason, then it's not going to go away with a silver bullet kind of medication. You need to make really small changes to your life, and you'll find that it makes a fantastic difference, sort of in helping you move the needle on your heart health and get to a place where the heart begins to again function the way that it needs to function. So the first step, eat good food. Eat the best food that you can find. The second step is something that kind of blew my mind when I heard about it. Drink the purest structured water possible. What does that mean? All of us use water filters, especially if you've got a water that's coming from the state water supply. You've got fluoride in it. All of us know about the harms of these sorts of chemicals in the water. So we've got stuff that takes out the fluoride. We've got reverse osmosis machines, RO filters, and yet several of those also take out the necessary minerals that naturally come in water. So figure out simple ways in which you can remineralize the water. All these resources are available in the article that's attached to this live video. So make sure that you use the links and you go and check out what you can do and how you can install this in your home as well. But here's the thing. The blood is made from all of the liquids and the water that we drink every day, right? So if you know that, then it seems completely logical that if you drink water that is pure and is clean and it has the right minerals and it is structured. Now, what do I mean when I say structured? When water flows naturally in nature, it goes through little vortices. So if you've, all of us have had some opportunity to watch a waterfall or a spring, and you can see that there are little walls in the water, and that really helps to structure the water and to restore it and turn it literally into medicine. So again, there are simple devices that can help you to structure the water again. So drink the purest, most mineral-rich, structured water possible. The resources to help you clean and structure your water are available in the article. So that's the second point. Water, which is basically the source of all your blood, and that needs to be pure. The third thing is again a free and often forgotten and often taken for granted resource, and that's the sun. The sun, we all know now, gives us vitamin D. So that's a great bit of information that's come out in the media a lot these days. But other than vitamin D, the sun also has a fantastic function of making your blood flow. And this is research, this is science. Dr. Gerard Pollack over at Washington University has done the fantastic work on this and shown how it's possible for blood and for all liquids to move through tubes when they're exposed to sunlight. The sunlight brings in negative ions, and there is a scientific process with which the blood begins to flow better. So for better circulation, if you just get adequate sunlight, that's going to be fantastic. So get your sunblock on if you're worried about extra sun exposure or getting sunburned. But the sun is there to shine. We are meant to live in the sun, and the more and more we stay indoors, the more and more we get cut off from it. And if your blood doesn't flow right, the nutrients don't get everywhere they need to get. The heart is one of the first organs that suffers. And so one of the best ways to get the heart back in shape is to go back to the source, is to get adequate sunlight, is to make sure that you get enough sun so that your blood begins to flow properly and every organ, including the heart, begins to receive the kind of blood and nutrients that it needs. Okay, we're still on the free stuff, and that's the reason it's not known enough. Just think of the things that are free in life, right? And we've all heard the saying, the best things in life are free. So one of the other free things which Dr. Pollack found in his laboratory really helps with heart health, with circulation, is walking barefoot on the earth. Now that again sounds like something that we'd all do, right? I mean, think of the last time you actually walked on the grass. Did you actually get your shoes off and walk on bare earth? Now, why would that make a difference? Here's the science behind it. The earth has electromagnetic radiation. The earth radiates, it's because of its gravity, it has its magnetic pull, and that again contributes negative ions to your body. And through that process, your body begins to, circulation in your body begins to improve. We've all heard of oxidative stress. We've all heard of free radicals, these electrons that go all over your body and cause all kinds of damage. The earth again has the ability to neutralize that and to help your blood flow right. It helps to keep your blood charged. We were meant to walk barefoot. We were meant to walk under the sun. I don't think any of us can actually dispute that. It's just that we've gotten so cut off from nature. We've gotten so cut off from everything that led to our evolution. We are still part of nature. The more we begin to think of ourselves as part of creation and not, separate from it, you'll find that, we have the ability to heal ourselves a lot faster. And therefore, walking barefoot on the earth and walking under the sun is really the sort of thing that can restore not just your heart, but your entire circulation, your entire body back to health. The last one's the real kicker. And when I read this is part of Dr. Thomas Cowan's book. I would highly recommend it to everybody. It's part of the resources which are attached to this article, so please go there, take a look. Dr. Thomas Cowan has written this fantastic book and called Human Heart, Cosmic Heart. And in that, he dedicates one chapter which is called What's Love Got to Do with It? And that's the final point. That's what you need to do for heart health. Even if you've had a heart attack, or if you're in any of the stages of heart failure where you're beginning to feel breathless, you're retaining fluids, all of that's happening to you. One of the things that can really change things around for you is actually contact with other human beings and with other creatures and love. There is a phenomenon now which is accepted medically called broken heart. And this often happens when you lose a spouse, or a very close loved one with whom you've spent a very large part of your life. Your heart literally breaks. It leads to failure. And if sadness or grief or lack of love or the loss of a loved one can do that to you, imagine what the same love can do to you when you receive it and you give it. So the third source of free electrons, remember the first source of free electrons that can help your blood flow, that's the sun. The second source of free electrons is the earth when you walk bare feet on it. And the third source of free electrons is just human contact, is holding hands with somebody you love. It's literally showing love and receiving love. And that can restore your heart back to great health. And this has been shown time after time in study after study. Patients who have people who sit with them in ICUs, in intensive care units, in the emergency room, and they hold the hand of the patient. That can make such a huge difference to the rate of recovery after an event like a heart attack. So just giving love and receiving love and being open to love can make such a huge difference, which is why cardiologists and all medical practitioners request you humbly to listen to the patient. Often by just hearing what happened before a person began to feel a heavy heart, before a person began to feel breathless or began to feel symptoms, just that act of listening can be so therapeutic and can really change the course of a disease. And that's every kind of disease, and it's especially so of the heart. Remember, whenever we point to ourselves and we say, I want to do something, or, I really love you, this is where you point, right? And that's the organ of the body that is most impacted when you give love, when you receive love, when you're able to express yourself, and when you're able to be one with every other person in your life. The more connected you are to humanity, the more connected you are to nature, the better your heart is going to heal. There are fantastic resources that we have put into this into the article that's attached with this video. I haven't gotten into too many of the resources because you can pick and choose what really works for you. I must mention the work of Sally Fallon, Nourishing Traditions. It's a bestseller on Amazon. It tells you why eating real food, eating food that doesn't come out of a packet, eating the way our ancestors ate, why all of those things really add up to fantastic health. That's one of the resources that I just had to mention in this video. Thanks so much for joining us on the heart health video. This is the second of the series. We're going to continue to bring you these fantastic bits of information. That's what Sepalika is about. We want to give you information that you can use. We want to give you information that's real, and we'd love for you to use it and to pass it on to other people. Remember, science is rediscovering what our traditions always knew about, and that's our job, to bring you the science behind it so that you don't have to follow anything blindly, and you can really use this information that science is unearthing again and get back to being in fantastic health. So we're going to start taking some questions. There you go. All right. So there's a question. Is heart condition hereditary? Yes, like everything else, it is possible. All of us carry some heredity, right? So if poor heart has run in your family, you likely carry the genes for it. But that's one part of it. That's called genetics. The other part of it is something called epigenetics, which means if you eat the right food, if you drink pure water, if you're in touch with nature, if you're actually taking walks in nature, you're getting sunlight, you're doing all the things right, then it's not necessary that that particular gene for poor heart health will get expressed. So they've done fantastic twin studies on this. So identical twins, both of them had the same genes. It could have been even for a heart condition. And then one person was brought up by the father. Unfortunately, the parents got divorced as soon as the twins were, when the twins were still very young. So the father got custody of one of the children. The mother brought up the other child. The mother had certain, mental issues, and because of that, the child didn't grow up in a very nurturing environment. And that twin brother showed much worse symptoms of the same hereditary illnesses that both brothers carried. The other brother, who was actually brought up by the father, who gave him a much more nurturing environment, he simply didn't express those genes for chronic illness, so he didn't suffer from the disease. So it is possible to turn around your genes. And, that's something that each of us should do, because that's the way in which we can really make sure that despite having things run in the family, we don't necessarily have to get that illness. Can we take supplements to prevent, this kind of heart health? Of course, there are fantastic cardioprotective supplements. The first one that I'd like to mention is something called Coenzyme Q10. We have given details in the article as well, which is linked to this video. Coenzyme Q10 is a fantastic little chemical that your heart and every other muscle in your body uses to make energy. So just putting back Coenzyme Q10 is a fantastic way of protecting your heart. And here's the irony. Several of the medications that are given to heart patients as part of standard care for everything, including heart failure, for high blood pressure, for any arrhythmias that you have, several of those deplete this vital chemical called coenzyme Q10. And when that is depleted, your heart actually suffers. So just putting back coenzyme Q10, which is available as a dietary supplement in the US, in India, in several parts. It's available as a dietary supplement, and it costs a fraction. It's really worth the investment. So go ahead and take a look at that and investigate coenzyme Q10. Omega-3, of course. All good fats are cardioprotective. Hawthorn berry is another one. These are all fantastic supplements for the heart, and we've listed them in the article as well. Is walking on grass more beneficial? Well, It's certainly beneficial to your feet, because when you walk on bare earth, whether it's grass or it's something else, you get the electromagnetic benefits, you get the free electrons that the earth donates to you. But walking on grass is a fantastic experience. All of us have walked on grass which has fresh dew on it, and we all know that that's really something that's far beyond walking on just plain ground. But if you don't have a patch of grass, don't let that stop you. What we're really looking for is the ability to walk barefoot on the earth. Is heart failure treatable? Yes, heart failure is treatable, and that's what this video and this article is about. There are MDs, cardiologists who see patients regularly in their clinics, like Dr. Kavan, who again we have linked to in the article that's associated with this video. It is very much treatable. It all depends on the stage at which you begin to take the steps to reverse the heart disease. So, continue with your medication, work with your doctor, but take this research to them. We've given you the actual research studies that show that these things work. Eating the right foods, drinking the water, how can that impact cardiac health? We've given you the research for it. So take it to your doctor. Very much CHF or congestive heart failure or just plain heart failure is very much treatable. What about risk factors for heart failure? Yes, chronic diseases like diabetes increase your chances of heart failure. Having coronary artery disease is again defined by the CDC as one of those risk factors. If you consume excess amounts of alcohol or if you smoke, then that's again a risk factor for heart failure. All right. I don't have heart condition per se, but due to a test, there are some indications. CRP. Yes, what can I really do, considering I do yoga, walk, etc.? Yes. So when you have high C-reactive protein or CRP, that is now slowly emerging as the gold standard for telling whether or not you're going to have heart problems in the future. It's something which cardiologists are now beginning to use. They know that having high levels of CRP and a certain irritant called homocysteine, both of these are determined from lab tests, and if you have high levels of these, then again, and you're already doing the walk, you're doing the yoga and so on, look again back to the basics. What you put 3 times into your body, your food, is going to make a huge difference. So drink the purest water, eat the best foods, and look at dietary supplements. Coenzyme Q10 has literally no side effects in research study after research study. When you take it properly at the right dose, it can help to lower your C-reactive protein as well. The CRP levels can come down. Again, getting sufficient levels of vitamin B, the entire vitamin B family, so vitamin B12, B6, B3, that whole family of B vitamins can make a huge difference to heart health. So do look at those numbers, because that's also going to help you to reduce the markers of increased cardiac risk like CRP and homocysteine. Is red meat good or bad? I've heard pros and cons. Well, the jury is still divided on that, and that's the honest truth. That said, here's the thing, right? So why do people keep saying red meat is bad? The reason people say red meat is bad is because red meat is rich in omega-6 fatty acids, and some of those omega-6 fatty acids can, if you consume too much of them, lead to cardiac problems. Omega-3 is basically what we're trying to put in, and that's what that's why people say omega-3 fats are good for the heart. But that said, everything is about quality, right? So if you've got the fantastic piece, of Kobe beef, or you're sure that it's grass-reared, meat, it is possible that that is going to be completely heart healthy for you when you consume it in small quantities. The problem is always with the excess. If you're going to eat red meat 5 times a day and you're going to go for a ribeye steak every other day, then it's certainly going to make an impact on your heart health. But if you're having a large portion of salad with it, if you make sure you get all the right fibers, if you're getting in the good fats, and if you have the ability to digest the red meat, It's certainly not something that you should just throw out. That would be, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So it's not universally bad, it's not universally good. In balance, by all means, it must be. I mean, if you're non-vegetarian, if that's what you want to do, you must certainly have it. Does diabetes increases chance of heart failure? Yes, it does. And why does that happen? Diabetes is basically a disease of inflammation, and doctors are saying now that it's an inflammation of blood vessels. So imagine that the blood that is going everywhere, including to the heart, is going laden with sugar, and the arteries are simply not able to handle that sugar. So that sugar is irritating the arteries and it's causing arterial damage. So it is going to impair circulation. It is going to increase your risk of coronary artery disease. Now, here's the thing that very few doctors know, because it's not out there as information. In our last video, we'd explained that heart attacks aren't really caused by, an artery getting clogged. And that before an artery really gets clogged, your heart builds little collateral arteries around the area that's blocked, right? Those arteries are so fine that they don't even reveal themselves on a regular CT scan. That's why the doctors don't see them. That's why you don't see them when the doctor shows you a block. They show you the film and they say, see, here's the block, and that's why the blood's not going through. And yet you can see that the blood is there at the top and the blood is there at the bottom. The blockage is really not doing too much. That's because the heart has formed natural bypasses around the blockage. And those fine capillaries are the ones that are worst impacted by diabetes. So when those little capillaries that are really supplying blood, despite your heart having a blockage, when they get sugar-laden blood because of diabetes, they are damaged. And that's the reason why diabetes is really a huge factor for predicting whether you're going to get heart disease and heart failure. So if you're somebody whose blood sugar is not under control and you've been told that you're likely candidate for heart failure, that's the first thing you need to fix. We've got resources for that on sepalika.com. Go to the diabetes section. Look at how doctors, MDs like Dr. Jason Fung are working to reverse diabetes. You heard that right. So that's reversing diabetes. It is possible to reverse diabetes through a series of lifestyle changes and dietary changes. And these are MDs. These are not guys claiming to have found the next miracle cure out of the Amazon forest. This is actual work. These are licensed doctors working in clinics and actually reversing diabetes. So please go ahead, use those resources, take a look. Any particular foods that help the heart? Well, yes. Foods that are in season, foods that come from the sort of traditions that we've eaten. Imagine there was a time not so long back, even in the US, when all of us used to eat with the seasons. It's only after the 20th century, in the 1900s, that refrigeration has really helped us. The processed food industry has made food available throughout the year, even though that food really isn't in season. Imagine, I don't think this is all common sense, right? If an apple grows only during a particular season, won't it be full of nutrients at that time? Imagine the kind of nutrients that are present in wheat during the fall when it was traditionally harvested. You get now produce all year round, and it's shipped from all parts of the world from where it was first harvested, then it was either freeze dried or some other process of preserving it so it doesn't rot. You get it with all that chemical, and then you go ahead and eat it maybe 6 months after it was first harvested. How is that going to do anything good to you? The stuff that's good for your body is what's good for your heart. The stuff that is especially good for your heart are good fats. So protective fats like clarified butter or ghee in India, olive oil, fantastic grass-fed butter that's available in many parts of the US now. These are all really heart foods. And we've all heard for years now that cholesterol is such a villain and we shouldn't have fats, and fats are going to clog our arteries. All of that is out of the window. The last year, the government has gone on record and said, cholesterol may not be such a bad thing after all. And that's the truth. The populations that live the longest, the populations that have traditionally eaten high fats and natural fats, and eaten fewer carbs and eaten sufficient amount of proteins, they are the ones that have lived for the longest periods of time with the greatest heart health. So those are the heart protective foods. Make sure that you include great fats in your diet. Okay, I think that kind of sums up all the questions that we have. Please go ahead and continue to post your comments. We'd love to hear from you. We make sure that we answer every single question. Go back to our first video. We do try our best to answer every question that you have. So go ahead, leave your comments, leave your questions, and we'll get back to you. Keep tuning in to Sepalika for natural ways in which we can, return back to health and restore our lives back to balance. Thank you so much for tuning in.